Hey everyone, it's Ken and Andrea here from Northern Viking Explorer. Today we want to share with you our review of the layout and amenities of the Carnival Radiance. We had a great time on a 4-night Mexican cruise and we want to give you our thoughts. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. All right, Andrea, the layout and amenities of the Carnival Radiance.
Well, let's start with the Lido deck because I love the Lido deck on cruise ships, and especially on the Radiance. I felt they did this really well.
Yeah, so the Lido deck is deck 9, and there was 2 quite decent-sized pools, and there's 5 hot tubs. Now, one of them is in the Serenity.
That's right.
But there's 2 fairly large hot tubs by each pool.
Let's talk about the main pool, though, in the center part of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that area was fantastic.
Yeah, I did. It was kind of unique. A lot of Carnival ships will have, multiple stories around the whole main pool area. But on this one, the one side is kind of tapered up towards the Carnival waterworks area. So the kids splash area and the water slides.
It reminded me of stadium seating, but with loungers.
Mm-hmm,
so no matter where you were, you could see the main pool. You could take part of the music and see all the activities.
Well, and the big screen for movies was above there. So if you wanted to be on the loungers further away, you could watch the screen. And then those larger hot tubs were kind of right at the bottom of the tapered lounger area. So very unique that way.
It was definitely a busy area, but I felt it was generous in the seating. They did it quite well.
Mm-hmm. This area also right by the main pool there had 2 bars, the Red Frog Rum Bar, I believe, as well as the Blue Iguana. Mm-hmm. So there's those right there. You'd also had the Blue Iguana Cantina and the Guy's Burger Joint.
It was a really great area.
Yeah. So as I kind of already mentioned, that tiered area goes right up to the water slides. So the Carnival Waterworks is there. They also had a kids splash area right at the top of that. So it's all kind of together. It was a really interesting setup, and I quite enjoyed it. Just watch your step as you're walking through the tiered area. You kind of have to wind your way around, and you may have bumped your head.
I did.
But the other thing I want to mention is we could find loungers.
Yeah.
So,
and when you're out on a sea day and you're out in a warm climate, being able to take advantage of the warm weather, that was nice. It wasn't stressful. It was easy to do.
Yeah. So maybe not necessarily right beside the pool, but up and around there was loungers. The back pool, though, the aft pool, was sunk down.
This was different. I'm not used to an aft pool actually being kind of, I don't want to say covered, but there was an upper deck. It was open above the pool, but the seating around was covered. So, which is good. It's not windy. It was different.
Yeah, it was sunk down. At the aft there, that's where they had the pizza. There was also Shaq's Big Chicken back there. And it was closed in down around the pool, but then open above. So it was unique that way as well.
The one thing you pointed out too that you didn't see right away is there's actually a staircase there at the back pool that goes down, and it's easy to miss because you have to walk through a doorway.
Yeah, they're on both sides of the pool, off to the side, and there's doors, so you kind of go inside up the stairs and then outside. I think it helps block the wind and what have you, but if you don't know that's there, you could easily miss it and think you have to go inside to find a way up to the upper deck. So do keep that in mind. But really, really nice pool areas on the ship. There's also the Serenity.
Yes.
So a smaller Serenity on this ship. There was a hot tub there. So this is the adult only area.
Yes.
So there's kind of loungers and seating up there. Comfortable area if you want to get away from some of the
And it was a bigger
kids.
hot tub. It was a bigger hot tub up there, so it was nice.
Yeah. So one wish we have about this area is beside the Blue Iguana Cantina and Guy's Burger Joint, it was quite narrow and hard to get through.
Especially during peak times when people were lined up to get food, you could only fit about 1 extra person through. So both ways of traffic, it couldn't happen.
It was very noticeable on embarkation day when people were still hauling around some of their luggage. People were lined up for burgers or burritos, and only one person could go through, and you've got a lineup of 10 or 20 people on both sides trying to squish through, and that it would be really good if that was somehow wider to get more people through, because it did definitely
Create attention.
there was some people definitely even annoyed at each other going through there.
You imagine you had suitcases and strollers. It wasn't great.
So up above that, up on deck 11, so it's actually 2 decks up from the Lido, is where you're going to find access to things like the high ropes. Which I enjoyed.
I quite enjoy that. I know it's for families, probably is their focus, but I think it makes me feel young again.
It is complimentary to use, which is appreciated. A smaller high ropes course, I think we went around 4 times, or I did anyway. There's the little...
It was still great, though.
Yeah. There's the, walk the plank, you walk out kind of off the edge, and I really enjoy that.
I'll be honest, there are times I'm terrified doing it, but I feel like I've accomplished so much when I finish it alive.
So in that area as well, you'll find the sports square. So there's like the basketball hoop, not the hugest.
It's smaller. It's definitely smaller.
Cornhole. I think there was a pool table. Different things like that. Games you can play. And then there's the jogging track that goes around this whole area.
It's definitely a smaller jogging track. Was it 11 laps to 1 mile?
11 laps to 1 mile. I would probably recommend, because it goes through the high ropes court and the sports court. If you're going to go running there, you probably want to book that in first thing in the morning, because people are using it as
it's the main walkway.
The transportation around the ship later in the day. So if you're going to be jogging later, you're going to be running through families, is probably not going to be ideal. So at that point, probably head down to the gym. But first thing in the morning, it's a lot of people exercising out there. There is also mini golf,
which is complimentary, which is fun. It wasn't the most elaborate course, but it was cute.
And then I'd already mentioned the gym. So towards the front of the ship on deck 11, there's a complimentary fitness center that you can use. Kind of the typical weights. There's
cardio
equipment, treadmills, ellipticals, all that kind of stuff. Again, not the hugest gym we've seen on a cruise ship, but it was adequate.
Yes.
For me, I didn't go. But those get quite busy.
They do.
Yeah. Other interesting spots. So kind of moving inside and down towards the atrium area, you're going to find also, I guess we're kind of talking about fun and games. So there's the arcade down there on deck 5.
And Carnival does the arcades pretty good. They're bigger than I've seen on other lines, and this was decent size.
It was adequate, not as big as some of the ones we've seen on some of the larger Carnival ships, but this one, for the size of ship, it was nice.
Good.
They've kind of got the arcade games, and then games where you can win, I don't know if it's tickets, but you can trade them in at the prize hub for different prizes, that sort of thing. So fun for the kids and teens and adults. And that's actually right next to the casino.
Yes. Yeah.
So the casino is fairly large. It's on deck 5, and again, fairly large for the size of ship, I would say. And then the deck 5 kind of walkway goes through the casino. But that's kind of right off of, you've got the Radiance lobby.
Yes, yeah. Which I like the Radiance lobby. I like how it's open and multi-level, and you can look down. They have the stage down there with live music.
The stage was unique compared to other Carnival ships, or newer ones, I should say. The stage was kind of behind the bar. So when people were singing on the stage, the bar was right below them. And then there was kind of the dance floor on the other side of the bar. So it was unique in that way. Like you said, the elevators, they go right up to the Lido deck.
Because the glass elevators are right behind. So it's fun when you step into those elevators and you can see all the stuff going on in the atrium. You can hear the music. I love that about cruising. I like that environment.
The colors in there, the ship is an older ship. So it wasn't old, but it was kind of teal and beige.
It showed in different areas.
Yes.
Because I would say, like, in the halls, it had that very beach vibe.
In where the cabins are, yeah.
Yeah.
But the stairs.
The stairways, it took me right back to 1990.
Yeah. It was almost like a sponge paint, I don't know.
It took me back to my childhood, definitely.
Yeah. So it's definitely like, especially the staircase areas kind of show that age, but It's still fun.
But each venue though was appropriately designed. Like when you step into the different bars or the different atmospheres, they're all
Modern,
and they're like what you would see on other Carnival ships.
Yeah. So we'd already mentioned the elevator banks. I just want to say that there's kind of 4 elevator banks on the ship. There's the front elevators, and then we'll count the glass elevators as their own, even though they're kind of right next to the main front elevators.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of midship elevators, and then there's aft elevators. Yes. So there's different elevators. I want to say I don't think we waited very long for the elevators on this ship. They were there's adequate amount compared to other cruises.
And I think for the amount of passengers on the ship, they had a good number of elevators, which really helps because it's all good to be patient, but sometimes it's hard to be patient.
I mean, to be honest, you're going to wait for elevators after a show or everybody's coming back onto the ship from the port, that sort of thing. But in general, normal times, it was smooth.
It was good.
Yeah. The Atrium area as well, they had quite a few shops. Of course, the typical kind of jewelry shops, logo wear shops, that kind of stuff. But they seemed larger than other shops.
Again, I'm going to say for the size of ship, too. I felt like, it wasn't reduced. There was plenty to look at, and I enjoy strolling around, even if I look at the same things over and over again. I find it kind of a fun evening thing to do.
Yeah. Lots of other interesting things. So deck 5, you can, if you want to go from front to back on the ship on the lower decks, deck 5 is where that would happen. You do a walk through the casino. The lower decks, we'll get into that in a minute, but like 4 and 3, I believe, you can't really go through.
No, it's difficult.
We'll get to that in a second because especially deck 4 is kind of weird that way. So there's different things. I think it was deck 5. There's the Heroes Tribute Bar. So there's the Piano Bar 88. The Red Frog. Is it Rum Bar? I think it's the Rum Bar.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like I really like that
it has
venue.
A stage in there, and you want to go past. There's different activities and things to check out inside there.
That also has like the beach vibe. There's little palm trees and the bar. I believe there was a shuffleboard, like a stand-up shuffleboard, foosball in the back. So that would be easy to miss if you don't go in there because those are around the corner at the back.
So walk in, go look, check it all out.
And those were complimentary to play as well. So
yeah.
And I had already mentioned the kind of beach palm tree vibe. I really like that in there.
It's fun. It's really fun in there.
Yeah. So there's 2 main dining rooms. So we've got the sunset and the sunrise.
Yeah. Easy names to remember.
I still struggle to remember which one is which, but yes.
Yeah.
So the sunset is at the back, and then the sunrise is kind of midship, kind of off the atrium.
Yes.
So
I didn't find them super formal. They had kind of a golf club vibe to me.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of a 90s kind of country club. The chandeliers weren't massive.
Yeah. Not ultra formal.
Not
definitely.
ultra high ceilings, but they were still nice.
Yeah, and they still had like, especially at the back of the ship, beautiful views of the ocean. It was still like a lovely space, but it didn't have that like, when you walked into the room.
But if you want lots of light, ask to be seated closer to a window because when you're in the middle, you kind of don't see that. So you'd have to go around the perimeter if you want more light and windows. So so definitely we ate actually quite a few meals in there.
Absolutely,
so it's worth checking out. Deck 4. So this is probably one of our wishes.
Yes.
Though. So it's really interesting. So deck 5 you can walk all the way through, like we mentioned, through the casino. Deck 4 you could sometimes walk through, which is what made it confusing. Because to walk through on deck 4, so basically from the aft restaurant to the atrium area, you kind of walk through the Limelight Lounge and then the Sunrise Restaurant. So in the mornings they would have the Limelight Lounge open and the Sunrise Restaurant, and you walk through those 2 venues. But then later in the day they would shut those doors, and because we were on a 4-day cruise, you don't get fully acquainted with the ship. Yeah. So all of a sudden you're like, I thought I could get through here. it was just a different vibe.
And not a big deal for us because we could just take the stairs and quickly get around. But if you need to use an elevator, it's a little more inconvenient.
Yeah. Now, outside, could you sneak by? I think you... So...
The outside areas confused me because they weren't really like welcoming, like you can come in and enjoy the space.
So on deck 4, I think you could walk down the side. We did, but it wasn't clear.
I wasn't sure if we were in a staff only area or, you know.
But people were walking outside on deck 4. And then one time I opened the wrong door. It wasn't clear. And an alarm went off. And yeah.
You went out and you couldn't see what door you should go back in. So we actually opened the door into a store. And that's why the alarm went off. So then you're like, sorry.
So
we did a little
It was a little
around.
confusing. And then down on deck 3, you'd think you could walk around. You definitely can't walk from the back restaurant to the front.
No.
But you on the map it shows you can go outside.
Yeah.
But to access the outside, it's right by the atrium. There's doors, and we didn't actually find those. I think until the 3rd day.
Yeah.
In Catalina, or not Catalina, in Ensenada.
Yes.
And so if you want to go outside on deck 3, it's in the atrium area, but you can't walk through to the back of the ship that we found anyway.
And you definitely can't walk around the whole ship.
No.
Yeah.
No. But it's nice out there. It was quiet because people couldn't find it. So.
But you know, that is one thing I enjoyed when we actually walked in the ship. That's how we got on board. And you walk right into the atrium, and it is a nice space.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we say, it's easy to miss. The other cool place on this ship is the front of the ship on deck 6 and 7.
Again, these are quiet spaces that people don't think to check out.
So you have to go past all the cabins at the front of the ship on deck 6 and 7, and you can go outside and overlook the front. So they're kind of, a lot of people call them the secret decks, but they're just quiet up there, and there's some benches typically and great views. You're right under the bridge, so a fun spot to hang out.
The other main area I wanted to talk about is the theater, which is at the front of the ship. It is the Liquid Lounge Theater. It's not my favorite theater, but it's definitely not the worst. By far. Definitely not.
No, for sure. So it's kind of got the stadium kind of tapered seating around the perimeter, and then the floor is flat.
See, that's kind of the problem, is the flat floor, because they bring in removable chairs. They're just regular chairs, which makes sense because it makes it a multi-purpose area. But if you're sitting at the back, there's no slope to see above the tall people in front of you.
We definitely prefer sitting around the perimeter because you'll get a better view. But there are posts. Not the biggest posts, but do be aware there are posts. So come a little bit early so you grab a seat that's not going to be blocked.
And I did like the theater seating going up. There's a few variation of seats. There's some that are singles and some that are doubles. So it makes it really comfortable to find a seat with your family there.
The other thing I want to mention, on the main floor of the theater, there's also a bar at the back. So you don't have to go far if you want to grab a beverage. I wouldn't say the theater is... It feels newer than the age of the ship, but not like ultra modern, like it's brand new. So it's somewhere in the middle. It's a nice theater, not the best, not the worst. It did the trick. So, any other thoughts on the Carnival Radiance, the layout and amenities?
Yeah, I would say for an older ship, they still brought in all the classic Carnival venues that you expect and that you enjoy.
And those are our thoughts on the layout and amenities of the Carnival Radiance.